So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. You get back here, BSN Network. This is the BSN Network podcast here today. It is Wednesday, February 16th. Hope everybody's having a day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Wednesday, February 16th here today, coming off another big night last night in the world of sports. A frustrating night for Kentucky, but a very nice win for the Rangers in a crazy, wild shootout. But the Rangers were able to get the win 2-1. Keandre Miller with the big goal. Mika Subbanich added a nice goal. Panarin had a nice goal, all in shootout. And Keandre Miller was the winner. He hit the game winner, and the Rangers come out of the All-Star break with a 2-1 victory over a very good Boston Bruins team, who, by the way, were without Brad Marchand, as we all know, serving the suspension. But still, a good Bruins team. And a Bruins team that's physical, and a Bruins team that whenever we go up against them, it's always a tough matchup. So anytime you could beat a team like that, original six matchup, it was definitely a slow start. 2 shots in the first period, and I said that yesterday, right? A slow start, it was either going to be one of 2 starts. It was going to be a little rusty, kind of just getting your legs back under you, or it was going to be a lot of adrenaline, a lot of energy, come out and play up to, play at a high level. And yesterday, the start was definitely rusty. It was definitely ugly. 2 shots in the first period was not good at all. Barclay Goodrow had a really bad play that resulted into the goal. And then the Rangers were able to come back, hold them. Igor Shesterkin, which was wild, was angry he had to come out. Then he came back in. Who even knows what the issue was, but big saves by him, and yet again, proving why he is one of the elite goalies in the NHL. This is no longer he's up and coming, or he still is, but there's no longer he's making progress. This is now, he's in his prime, he's getting better, and he's continuing to show us why he's going to be the franchise goalie here for many years to come. So, good to see there. Kentucky lost. It was ugly. It was bad. And we went about 11 minutes straight without a field goal. It wasn't good. It was ugly. On the road, good Tennessee team. And look, we crushed them the first time we played them, and this time Tennessee had our number. So, I'm not overly, I'm definitely frustrated. It's a win that we could have had on the road, and then you beat Bama on Saturday, and you go ahead and say, okay, this team has a good chance of being the second-ranked team in the nation when it's all said and done. Come Monday when they release the new rankings, and loss last night definitely hurts. It definitely does, and the way it happened. 79-6. What was it, 76-63? It's frustrating. It's definitely not a good loss. It's an eyesore, and it was ugly. From start to finish. We started okay, and I think we got off. It was like an 8-2 game. But there was that 10-minute stretch where we just were not making shots. Tennessee was. We fell down, and then Ty Washington played 45 seconds in the second half. Knee again. We don't know the severity quite yet, but once again, just injuries and just not playing well, and we dug ourselves in too deep of a hole. So, Kentucky loses by 13, definitely frustrating, but now you got to come back against Alabama on Saturday at home. You get a home game, Alabama, Saturday. You win that game, you go 1-1 on the week. You're probably going to drop a little bit. I can't see you dropping anywhere further from the 7th seed. And I can still see us being a top 7 team in the nation. We're not probably going to be 4 anymore unless if craziness breaks out. But, definitely still, if we lose to Alabama, then there's true reason to be like, okay, this might not be a top 10 ranked team. So, tough loss last night for Kentucky. You got to hope they bounce back against Alabama. Rangers as well. They got the win. They'll be back in action tomorrow against the Red Wings. As for tonight, we got some really exciting basketball tonight, hopefully. I got the Nets and the Knicks tonight against the... got Knicks tonight versus the Nets and Knicks tonight. I don't know what I was saying. Knicks tonight, and the Islanders, Rangers both have day off. Kentucky obviously will be back in action Saturday. So all we got tonight in the world of New York sports is the Nets and the Knicks at the Garden. No Kyrie, as we all know, will not be able to play due to being in New York. Which is weird. I don't think you'll be able to play, which is weird because it's odd because it's away, but it's in New York. The whole it's so weird. Adam Silver said it today. The mayor of New York said it today. It's so weird It's so weird, the protocols and the mandates. So we'll see. But Nets, Knicks tonight. Kentucky, Rangers, Islanders, all off. And, yeah. And that should be a good game. Tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. So nationally televised game tonight as well. Alrighty, so let's get to the topics for today's podcast. A lot of topics that I want to get to, I want to talk about. So I'm kind of just taking it day by day. You know, I pick a few. I kind of just play it by ear. If any crazy news happens, whatever happens, I want to do it. And obviously with football season just ending, I want to gear my focus a little bit to baseball and kind of the whole world surrounding that. So I'm actually going to get to a topic today about baseball, not just the lockout, but I want to get to Juan Soto. A report came out today that Juan Soto turned down a 13-year, $350 million contract extension from the Washington Nationals, who they offered it to him before the lockout began. So this is definitely an interesting story because for a guy that has meant so much for the organization, for a guy that has done so well in his 3 years, has won a World Series, is still very young, only, 23 years old, you know, a guy who has done so much good stuff and one of the best players in the league, for him to turn down a contract of that size should kind of not saying that he's not going to be there anymore, but 4 years into his career, the way he's been playing up to this point, a 313, 301 batting average in his career, it definitely, you know, raises some eyebrows. It definitely causes some speculation of, is Juan Soto truly going to be a National for his entire career? And is the Washington Nationals roster right now have something to do with it? So I want to get to this, story that I thought was definitely interesting. It's also because it's baseball. I haven't talked much about baseball and the fact that it's something other than the lockout. I want to get to it. So I'm going to talk about it. Tomorrow I plan on talking about the lockout. One of these days I do. I kind of just want to go on a rant about it, just completely, not even talk about an update, not even talk about how the conversation went, just completely lay it all out there, why the MLB, why it's on both sides to blame, and why the MLB right now is dying fast if they don't get this thing turned around. So, but today, it's going to be a little bit more positive. I'm going to get to Juan Soto, get to his rumors, and then we're going to get to the New York Sports Update. Like I said, Wednesday, only about a 30-minute video today, probably only about 25 to 30 minutes. So we'll get to Juan Soto and the New York Sports Update like I mentioned earlier. Nets, Knicks tonight at the Garden. Not my favorite game of all. Like I talked about this yesterday. You know, now that the Nets have a super team, playing the Knicks is no longer what it once was. Because if we lose tonight, you're never going to hear the end of it from Knicks fans. And if we win tonight, it's like, all right, we got a game tomorrow night against the Wizards to close out the... And that's another thing, too. Knicks fans, this is the last game until the All-Star break. So, and this is good chance is their last win for a little while, because coming out of the All-Star break, they got the Heat and the 76ers back-to-back. Neither of those are going to be easy games at all. So, as a Net fan, you're kind of like, okay, well, you know, if you lose tonight, the Knicks fans are going to talk all about this throughout the break, and then you're never going to hear the end of it. If the Nets win, it's like, all right, we won, we beat the Knicks, good. So, we'll see. Anyway, that's what I got for the introduction here, and with all that being said, this is BSN Podcast, and let's get right into it. Alrighty, so MLB rumors. Yes, finally something that came out. Now, this did happen a little bit ago, obviously before the lockout, but there is some news here. Juan Soto turned down a 13-year, $350 million Nationals contract extension before the MLB lockout began. So as we all know, lockouts in session right now. I shouldn't even say in session. The MLB is in a lockout. No CBA agreement yet. Both sides are negotiating. Both sides are to blame right now. Both sides are not making any progress. Both sides are not helping the cause at all because both sides want so much and they're not trying to meet in the middle. Neither side is giving up a little bit. Neither side is willing to maybe give up a little bit just to play baseball. So that's super frustrating to me. But I want to get to this story today because it's definitely interesting. And as we all know, with the lockout happening, there hasn't been much news at all. It's been a very slow news. For this time of year, there's usually so much to talk about in the world of baseball. It's usually all I'm talking about right now. Now that the Super Bowl done, it's like this is all we talk about now is baseball because you have the guys going to spring training. Spring training begins. You maybe have some late additions, some camps, and you go to spring training and look at all this, and an opening day comes and it's baseball. It's 162 straight games. It's madness all the way up until September. Right now, though, we don't got that, and it's super frustrating. But today I want to get to this story because it is some baseball. It is something I have not talked about much. When I have talked about baseball in the past couple months, it's been all about the lockout. It's been all about neither side coming to an agreement. It's been all about a new proposal that the other side hated. So today, we're going to get to Juan Soto. And like I said, during the lockout, you can't do anything. Players can't train with trainers. Players can't. It's pretty much just you're locked out. It's like, can't do anything. So this is prior to lockout. And I found this very interesting because, as we all know, Juan Soto is one of the elite players in the league right now. Right? You look at the guys like Mike Trout and, Judge and the Trouts of the world, the Judges of the world, the Tatises of the world. There's all of them. There's so many great baseball players out there. There's so many superstars out there. Not even just superstars per se, but just so many good players. The Deverses of the world. It's sometimes hard for me to think of off the top of my head, but Devers and Judge and Trout and Soto, and you look at some pitchers like DeGrom and Cole and Robbie Ray had a good year. I wouldn't say he's necessarily a stud, but the Vlads, the Bo Bichette's, and the Shohei Ohtani's, and there's so many great athletes. There's so many great players in baseball. And a lot of them have big contracts, or a lot of them are on their way to a very big contract. And Juan Soto is one of those guys that, whether it's this year, next year, or the year after that, because I believe he becomes a free agent in 3 years, whenever it comes, a contract extension, a big payday for Juan Soto is definitely 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 a good thing for Soto, and definitely a thing that he definitely deserves because he's one of the elite players in the league. He's only 23 years old. He's 4 years into his career. He's already got a Super Bowl championship, he's already a World Series champion. I got football brain going on. He's already a World Series champion. He's made a big impact. He's a 301 career hitter in just 4 years. And every season it seems as if he's getting better. And every season it seems as if he is the best player on this Nationals team. And you would think this is where it gets interesting, because you would think before the lockout. Now, like I said, a lot of players, this is why it's maybe tough if you don't want to read into this too much, because a lot of players waited until the lockout will end, if it ever ends. Who even knows? Are going to wait until lockout ends to sign any deals. Carlos Correa is doing it. Some other guys are doing it. And it seems like now Soto is as well. Maybe going to wait. Maybe not even just this year, but, in the next couple of years, going to wait it out to get another deal. Because there's a possibility with the new CBA agreement, maybe there's a possibility of maybe the contracts being up, or, maybe a little bit more in terms of just money-wise and what players might earn. There's a possibility of that being increased. So signing a deal after might be a little smarter, being patient to see how everything plays out. So you gotta have to put that in perspective. But I find it really interesting that he rejected a 13-year, $350 million deal because he is the face of franchise in Washington. There's no doubt about it. And the Nationals have given up so many good assets. And Ryan Zimmerman a couple days ago just announced retirement. They lost Trey Turner. They lost Max Scherzer. They lost Anthony Rendon in the offseason after they won the World Series championship. They aren't the same team they once were. They're now stuck with Steven Strasburg, who can't stay healthy on the mound, a bullpen that's below average, a offense that is really just a bunch of pieces mixed in. Josh Bell was a power hitter, but not a great average guy. Victor Robles, who showed some promise, but had a really bad year last year. And then you have Juan Soto. And like I said, you might not want to read into this too much, but what this tells me right here, and I'm going to read the article, that Juan Soto, as much as it might seem like he's going to be a National for life, and as much as it might seem like he's going to be there for his entire career, and he might win another championship or two, and he's going to be the face of the franchise, and his jersey's going to be the top seller, you're going to see number 22 Soto everywhere in D.C. Soto, I think, might be a little frustrated with how the Nationals have kind of what the Nationals have kind of done to their roster since that World Series win in 2019 against the Astros before the whole COVID hit. And I'm going to read you some numbers here in a second, because after that championship in 2019, they've been brutal. They've been terrible. They've been really bad. And last season, I feel like, was kind of the epitome of it all. Like, just another bad year, trading away Turner, trading away Scherzer, some of your other free agents that you brought in just not having good years, guys not staying healthy. And it's kind of just like it's Juan Soto and a roster that really can't. It really is just dysfunctional. It's Juan Soto and a bunch of other pieces here and there that just don't fit into the puzzle. They're trying to put a piece that doesn't fit with the other piece together. It's just not working. Juan Soto fits. Juan Soto is the guy there. He is the foundation. He should be the left fielder there for many, many years to come. But I have a feeling that Juan Soto right now wants this team to build it up. And if the Nationals really want to sign Soto, and if they really want to lock him up for many, many years to come, when they come out of lockout, Nationals are going to be a little bit more aggressive. Because I really believe, especially this point of his career, he's 23 years old, he's 4 years into it, he's in such a good part of his career. He's really just starting his prime. He wants to take advantage of that. He wants to play for a winning team. He doesn't want to go through a rebuild for another 5 years. Because at the rate we're going right now with the Nationals, they're in a situation where they're bound for another, what, 70-win season? They're bound for another 65, 70-win season and almost 100 losses, and they're bound for, yet again, a 5th-place finish in the NL East. And that's something you got to look at, too. The NL East is only getting better. Look at the the Braves. They won the World Series last year. Look at their roster. Ozzie Albies, Acuna, who tore his ACL, but he'll be back this season. They won the World Series. There's not much else I got to say. The Mets went out and signed DeGrom, Starling Marte, Mike Canna. They already had that on top of a group with Pete Alonso and Jacob DeGrom and a group who has Francisco Lindor, who played really bad last year, but we know on a good year, he's one of the best shortstops in the game. You look at Philadelphia. Bryce Harper, the reigning NL MVP. Gene Segura, Alec Boehm. Got a lot of good assets there. Maybe their pitching staff isn't what it once was. Aaron Nola's not the same pitcher he once was, but they got some talent. They can score runs, and they can win games. And you look at Washington, and it's like Juan Soto and a bunch of odd pieces. And if you're the Nationals right now, when this lockout ends, the fact that Juan Soto declined this contract, I think should be a little bit of an alarm that says, look, we kind of got to ditch this rebuild thing and figure out something to make this team competent. Because it's clear that Soto, if he was fully bought in and he fully wanted to be a part of this, he would have agreed to this deal. And maybe he wants around the same money but a little bit of less years. And that's a complete possibility. Maybe he's a guy that might want a 7-year deal, near the 300s as well. Because, look, maybe he's not, maybe he doesn't want to be, because 13 years is a long time. If he would to sign his deal and he plays it all throughout, that means he's going to play up until he's 36 years old on the same team. So I don't want to start anything. I don't want to try to create rumors because I don't like when people do that. But what I will say is if the lockout ends, you can't even say when. You got to say if at this point because who even knows what's going to happen with this lockout. But if the lockout ends / when it ends, whenever it is, whether it's this season, whether it's halfway through the year, whether it's whatever, we all know how it's going. Whatever happens with the lockout after it ends, the Nationals have to be a little bit more aggressive. And then the Nationals have to kind of look towards building this roster up to a higher level if they want Soto to be there for a long time. Because I truly think Soto likes it at Washington, in D.C. He's got a home, he's been there. He came up through the system. He's 23 years old. It's his 4th year. This is his 5th season already. He's already won a championship there. So now I think he just wants to continue to build his legacy there. And I truly believe he wants to be there. But does he want to go through a rebuild that's going to maybe last 3-4 years? I really don't know. He's the foundation. You got to build around him with the proper pieces. And that's truly why I think he probably declined this deal. And there's a good chance that if they don't put the right pieces around him, maybe Soto isn't in a Nationals uniform for as long as we all think he would be. So I'm just going to read you some numbers about the Nationals, okay? And I crunched some of these numbers and I put this together earlier. So the Nationals record since the World Series in 2019. So 2020 record, like I said, I put an asterisk next to it because it was only 60 games. So whatever, you take it, whatever. We take it and run with it or don't care less about it. They won 26-34 in 2020. That's 8 games below 500. They finished 5th in the NL East. So 60 games, 8 games below 500, won 26 games. That was bad, really bad. So finished 5th in the NL East. So that was the year after their World Series win. Now last season, most recently, they went 65-97, and that's 32 games below 500, and they finished 5th in the NL East as well. So yet again, a bad year, almost losing 100 games, and here you got Soto playing so well every game, and a roster that surrounds him that's really, really bad. They won 65 games last year. That's concerning if you're a Nationals fan. 5th in the NL East. And their combined record since the World Series championship in the 2019 season, which was a great story, by the way. And maybe did they overachieve a little bit? Maybe. Maybe did they get hot at the right time? Definitely. They did not start that year good, I can tell you that. Did they get hot at the right time? Were they just, on a run there? Possibly. They did sell away a lot of those pieces, key pieces too, from that team, and I'll read that in a second. So their combined record since they won the World Series in 2019, since they walked off that field last night in Houston, Minute Maid Park, champions. They have won 91 games in 2 years. They've won 91 and 131 in the past 2 seasons. That's worst record the past 2 years in the NL East, and it's not really close. They've been terrible, and they've been really bad since their World Series win. So, 26 and 34 the year after, 65 and 97 this past year, and that's a combined record of 91 and 100. That's a combined record of 91 and 131, 40 games below 500. That's worse than the NL East since they won the World Series in 2019. And I'm sure some of that definitely frustrates Soto, because a guy who's so good, so talented, and just to be kind of wasted on a team that stinks might very well frustrate him. And I truly believe that he wants to be a National for life and he wants to play there for a long time. But the Nationals got to do a better job building up that roster. No doubt about it. And some notable players lost. Trey Turner, shortstop, went from the Nationals to the Dodgers. He's now in the Dodgers. Max Scherzer, as we all know, went from the Nationals last year, traded to the Dodgers, and now he's on the Mets. Anthony Rendon, in the offseason of 2019, he left the Nationals, and now he's on the Angels. And Ryan Zimmerman, just about 2 days ago, retired. So you're losing some key pieces. You're losing Ryan Zimmerman, who's been with the team forever, was the first ever draft pick in Nationals history. You lost Scherzer, you lost Trey Turner, you lost 2 guys that have been staples in the organization for a long time. And now you're stuck with Juan Soto. And now you got Juan Soto, who's the foundation, got a really bright future. He is the guy there. But you got to do a better job building around him. And if you truly want him to be there for a long time, you got to build a better roster, and you got to win a whole lot more than 91 games in 2 years. And you got to win a whole lot more, and you got to win a whole lot more, because you can't be 40 games below 500. 40 games below 500 in 2 years is not a good look. So look, Nationals definitely need to do a better job if they want Soto to be there for a long time. Alrighty, so MLB rumors, Juan Soto turned down 13-year, $350 million Nationals contract before lockout began. So the Washington Nationals reportedly offered all-star right fielder Juan Soto a 13-year, $350 million contract extension before the MLB lockout began December 2nd. And look, this could also just simply be, I might be reading into it much, but this could also just simply be, look, he's 23 years old. He doesn't so much want to sign a contract yet. Maybe play another year or two and then really look what options come at you. Because I'll tell you what, if you keep playing at the level you got, that pay is only going to get higher. That contract's only going to get higher. Teams are only going to want to pay you more. Your value's only going to go up. So maybe he's like, look, I'm 4 years into it. I could prove so much more still. That could also be a stall process. It could also just be, look, the lockout's almost here. I'm not going to rush to just sign a deal. Let me play it out and see how everything plays out. It could also be something. ESPN's Enrique Rojas on Wednesday reported details of the proposal, which did not include deferred money. Yes, they made me an offer a couple months ago before the lockout we have in baseball, Soto told Rojas. But right now, me and my agents think best options is to go year after year and wait for free agency. My agent, Scott Boras, is in control of that situation. Yeah, so I believe 3 years he'll be free agent. He's 23 years old, so I believe at 26 he'll be a free agent. And, it will really open up, and you'll really see all the options that he gets. And that seems to be where he's going with this. And that might be a little bit of a signal to the Nationals of saying, hey, you want me to be here for life? Let's do a little bit better job of building this roster instead of making a team that might only win 60, 65 games every year for the next 3 seasons. The 23-year-old Dominican Republic native has emerged as one of MLB's best players since making his debut for Washington in May of 2018. His 17.7 WAR over his past 4 seasons is tied for 8th among hitters per Fangraphs. Soto is coming off a campaign wherein he ranked 3rd with a 999 OPS to go along with 29 home runs in 151 games. He's also a rarity in the modern game as he recorded more walks in MLB best 145 than strikeouts 93. Yeah, His strikeouts were down as walks were up, which is just really great for a game now that so many strikeouts are up and everyone talks about launch angle and home runs. For a guy to have 93 strikeouts and 145 walks, that's something you see a lot. That's not something you see a lot, and when you see it, you know it's a special player. The 1.6 walks to K ratio led the majors and was nearly double the next closest qualified hitter, 0.9 by Houston Astros' Yuli Gurriel. The left-handed slugger is arbitration eligible through 2024 and become a free agent ahead of the 2025 season. If he continues to produce at an MVP level and lands it on the open market, he will surely challenge for the richest deal in MLB history. That mark is held by the Los Angeles Angels' Mike Trout with his 12-year, $426.5 million contract. In March, ESPN's Jeff Passan suggested Soto could approach a $500 million deal as a free agent and provided comments from the outfielder. So this is what Soto said, I believe, back in March. If I get something like that, it's going to be a lot of people in a good. It's going to be a lot of people in a good spot. A lot of people around me are going to get helped by that money. That was only thing that I think He's also I believe in God, and he's always talking about give love to the people that you love and help the world, whatever you can. And that's how my mom and dad helped me out with it. Just trying to help people. For me, that's the only thing that gets to my mind when I hear about all the money. The talk about Soto's free agency won't bring back welcome memories for Nats fans. As Bryce Harper bolted to the NL East rival Philadelphia Phillies in 2019 for a 13-year, $330 million contract, Harper won 2021 NL MVP award. A lot can change over the next 3 years, especially since MLB and the MLBPA are without a collective bargaining agreement. So it's probably too soon for Washington to start worrying too much about Soto's potential departure. That said, there is pressure on the franchise to capitalize while one of the MLB's top players leads its lineup. That would likely mean signing free agents to bolster the cast around Soto once the lockout ends. That's what I've been saying this entire time. You bolster around him, and he gets a big payday, there's no sense of him leaving. If they're losing and they're not building around him and it's just him and a bunch of guys that just aren't good, then you could see him in a different uniform in a couple years. So, Nationals got to make sure that they keep him there because he's one of the special players in the league. He really is. Alrighty, so I just want to read you some of his stats as well. Just go a little bit more deep into, really what he brings to the table. This season, he had a .313 batting average. That was third in the MLB. 29 home runs, 95 RBIs, and an OPS of .999. Also, third in the MLB. His career averages are 116 games played per season, 403 at-bats, 84 runs, 121 hits, 23 singles, 23 doubles per season, 2 triples per season, 24 home runs per season. He averages about 78 RBIs per year, 93 walks per season. He only averaged about 88 strikeouts a year, which is really, really low, which is a very good sign. His batting average in his career is an average of .301, on-base percentage .432, slugging .550, and an OPS of .981. So really a special player and somebody who definitely, if they can find the right contract and he truly wants to be there, definitely would be a very good asset for the Nationals to have for many, many years to come. And we'll see how everything plays out and what did the Nationals decide to do overall with their roster when the lockout, when/if the lockout ends anytime soon. Alrighty, so that's what I got for the Nationals and Juan Soto. Let's get to the NHL today. You got the Jets, Wild. I'll give Wild the win. Panthers, Hurricanes. Give me the Hurricanes. Ducks, Flames. I'll take the Flames. And Golden Knights, Avalanche. Give me the Avalanche. As for the NBA today, we got the Hawks, Magic. I'll take the Hawks. Celtics, Pistons. Give me the Celtics. Pacers, Wizards. I'll take the Pacers. Bulls, Kings. Give me the Bulls. Raptors, Timberwolves. I'll take the Raptors. Spurs, Thunder. I'll take the Spurs. Actually, Timberwolves, Raptors, I'll take the Timberwolves. Spurs, Thunder, give me the Spurs. Grizzlies, Trailblazers, I'll take the Grizzlies. Suns, Rockets, give me the Suns. Jazz, Lakers, I'll take the Jazz. And Warriors, Nuggets, give me the Warriors. As for college basketball, I got a couple top 25 games on tonight. Rutgers, Illinois. I'm going to give Rutgers the win. They've beat 3 top 25 teams in a row. They're back at home. Give me Rutgers because they seem to win every time they're at home against a ranked opponent. Alabama, Mississippi State, I'll take Alabama. UConn, Seton Hall, give me UConn. Baylor, Texas Tech, I'm going to take Baylor. I I know they lost one of their key assets, but Texas Tech. I'll take Texas Tech. Now that I'm thinking about it. Give me Texas Tech. Purdue, Northwestern, I'll take Purdue. Auburn, Vanderbilt, give me Auburn. And Gonzaga and Pepperdine, I'll take Gonzaga. And we'll get to fantasy football, and we'll finish it off here. Fantasy basketball, rather. Alrighty, so I'm currently losing 462 to 387. Today I've got going Donovan Mitchell, Buddy Hield, John Collins, Nikola Jokic, Desmond Bane, Rashawn Holmes, and John Morant. John Collins and Sego Alexander are both out. Morant's day-to-day, ankles questionable against the Trailblazers. So, I'm losing right now because team's not healthy and guys aren't playing. So, hopefully, gets healthy and things get going. But, that'll do it. So, that'll do it for the podcast today. I'm trying to think what I was going to say. So, tomorrow or anytime here, I want to definitely get to some of the Kyler Murray stuff. I definitely plan on getting some of that stuff. So, I definitely plan on or hope, that I can get to that within the next couple weeks or within the next couple days. And I say that because it's a very intriguing story, but sports are sports. So, you know how it is. There's some days where there's a lot, and there's some days where there aren't. I continue to say it. Whenever baseball decides to come out as lockout, I'm going to talk a ton of baseball. I'm waiting. I'm like a bubble waiting to burst. I'm so frustrated. I want the season to start, and I was talking to somebody today. Like, there's nothing better than sitting there with my scorebook, scoring the Yankees game, watching the game, enjoying a nice summer night. I mean, there's nothing better. So I want baseball to get out of this lockout. I don't care which side wins. I don't care what side gets what they want. As long as we get baseball, preferably on time and a full 162. I don't want any of this 100 game or 60 game garbage again. That was COVID. That was unexpected. Every sport had to adjust. Now we're back to normal in terms of sports, and now we're back to should be playing full seasons. And I keep saying it like just for baseball's sake. Look at the ratings of an NFL game. Rams-Bengals. 112.3 million viewers. Baseball's nowhere close to that. And they're only going to continue to drop if this lockout continues. Because you're going to get big baseball fans are going to stop watching. There's already not many baseball fans anymore. If this lockout comes, you're going to get a lot of baseball fans that have watched baseball for so many years. They're going to stop watching. Because it's clear that both sides obviously don't care enough. And obviously don't care about the fans, and obviously just don't want to play. So get this lockout, get this thing done with. I don't care what side wins. Right now we're here. Neither side's willing to give up. It's like a game of tug of war, and it's like both teams are taking a break and nobody's moving the rope right now. That's what it's like, and it's super frustrating as a fan because pitchers and catchers should have already reported. And especially me as somebody who does podcasts, like right now is a tough time because right now we'd have a ton of baseball stuff to talk about. Now we don't. So it's almost like COVID is happening again because we don't have baseball. We do have basketball and hockey, but football right now is kind of in a dead zone because you're before free agency, there's just a whole lot of rumors. I'll talk about some of them. I'm not going to talk about rumors for weeks on end. Oh, let's talk about this rumor. Let's talk about this. I definitely want to get to Kyler Murray because that's intriguing. That's definitely interesting. But if there's, this or that, like, either way, that's going to do it. Kind of just my closing thing here. Comment down below what you think about Juan Soto. And if I said, is maybe accurate, and do you think the Nationals need to build up that roster? I don't really think that's an opinion. I think that's a fact. They need to. Look at the roster. It's dysfunctional right now. But do you think that might persuade? Do you think the roster could be one of the reasons why Soto could be waiting this thing out to sign a big-time deal? Either way, I definitely think he deserves it. Look, you could say players are overpaid. Look, you get paid what you're worth. These guys are worth a lot of money. These guys put on a show for fans. So for those of you who are saying they're overpaid, they're not because they are what they're worth. These guys are playing in front of many viewers. These guys are playing and putting on a show. We watched every night. That's why they're paid so much, because they're so good at what they do. Only about 1% of athletes go pro. So when you go there, you earn that money, you earned it, you get what you're worth, and Soto right now is one of the top players in the league. I definitely think he deserves the money. It's just where will he get that money is the big question. Either way, that will do it. As always, I'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.